Should you join the military in 2025? Let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to go over some things you should consider before joining the military, what the reality of a day-to-day life of being in the military is like, go over some of the pros and cons, things like how much we get paid, how much travel we can do, how much vacation time, all the benefits and stuff like that. And overall, is it something that you should do or not consider doing at all, especially in 2025? Let's get into it. Now, I served in the military back in 2017 to 2021. I joined straight out of high school, didn't have any clue what I wanted to do with my life. And for me personally, it was a great experience. I don't regret it at all. But for you, there's some things that you should consider before joining, before you even go see a recruiter, right? And that's, how old are you? Because there's age restrictions within the military. I think it's like 17 all the way to maybe like 40. Because when you're young, like I was, I joined when I was 18. So I pretty much sacrificed the next 4 years of my life, 18 to 21, 22. And I wasn't going to go to college. I wasn't going to have that experience that a lot of my friends were having at the time. And I knew that. And I was willing to sacrifice that. So is that something you're willing to sacrifice? Or maybe if you're older, 25, 30, 35, you have a family, or you're in a relationship with a wife, maybe you have kids, children, you're going to be gone for a while. And that is something that you should really consider, because we go away for months, right? You don't see your friends, you don't see your family for a long amounts of time. And of course you can, take vacations and trips to go see them maybe like once or twice a year, but the majority of your time is going to be away from your family, your friends. You should also really consider any active conflicts or things going around in the entire world. There are some right now. I'm not going to mention it because I'll probably get demonetized or something. But when there is conflicts going around in the world, I'm sure a small percentage, not even like, I don't know, 5, 10% of people will go to those locations depending on their job. They're not going to be, actively fighting or anything like that. Maybe that's less than like 1% of the entire military. But depending on your job and what you want to pick, you might end up in some dangerous, places and dangerous situations. So think about that as well. You should also consider your health as well. Are you fit enough to join in the first place? Maybe you're a bit overweight or underweight, which I was, and you have to meet the fitness standards and requirements before you even join. So that's important. And lastly, it is a serious commitment, because once you sign that dotted line, Uncle Sam, you're giving your life away for 4 to 6 years, however many you sign, and you're not in control, okay? You can't just go to boot camp and be like, you know what? Can I leave? That's not gonna happen, okay? Unless, you can it gets really complicated if you want to leave, and it is just, and this is a really big commitment for your life for the next 4 to 6 years. But overall, I want you to think, is it going to be a positive experience or a negative experience impacting you for the rest of your life? For me personally, it was great. It was an amazing experience. It was a no-brainer for me. Now, moving on to the realities of being in the military, something that people always ask me for some reason is, did you have to shoot at anybody, or did you have to anybody, And for me personally, no, not at all. I was never in any danger. I never had to go to a super seriously dangerous war zone or anything like that. That's not to say that some jobs might end up going there, depending on what you pick. But 90%, 95% of the entire military, they do not fight. They don't go anywhere. Okay? These are normal jobs that you perform in a military uniform. Like if you've got a job in finance in the military, you're not going to go get deployed to Iraq to go do finance in Iraq. You know what I'm saying? So it's, and a lot of the jobs are at, like, sitting down, intelligence, healthcare fields, maybe vehicles, maintenance, mechanics, things like that. These aren't people that fight, okay? That's the majority of the military in general. There's not people that are engaging in conflicts. What is boot camp like? Boot camp is probably going to be the hardest experience in the beginning for you, because everything within that first year of your contract, you're learning everything. Everything is new. They're trying to break you down and build you back up, as they always say. You kind of have to learn everything. It's thrown at you so fast. You're stressed out. You're nervous. You're worried if you're going to make it or not. You're getting yelled at. Um, so boot camp is going to be tough because it's different. It's just a different experience. If you're curious about the entire process of joining, like going through boot camp and training and normal day-to-day life, I'll link into an older video I made a while ago. Check that one out. But a normal day in the military, my job was aircrew flight equipment 1P0X1, and I was stationed in Las Vegas, Nevada. I got up, I worked out maybe around 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I got to work at 9, got off at like 4:30, 5 p.m., and after 5 p.m., I got to do whatever I wanted to do. And then I did the same thing over and over again, Monday through Friday. We got our weekends off. It was like it's like a very strict, harsher 9 to 5 in a uniform. And that's no disrespect to the military, of course. But the day-to-day rhythm of it, you get used to it. You get used to working, and life is pretty much normal. Okay, you have your freedoms. You're not like 24/7 working, pounding away, depending on your job. Of course, some people work like 12 plus hours if they're maintenance or stuff like that. But it really just depends. Your experience could be completely different from mine. You could hate it or you could absolutely love it. Now let's get into the pros and cons. I want to start with the cons because I like hearing the bad news first and then the good news later. First things first, you're sacrificing years of your life. Gone. The 4 to 6 years, no longer yours. You're going to Uncle Sam. You're going to the United States government, the military, wherever you go. You're no longer in control of your life for 4 to 6 years. That's a whole nother high school to college, like freshman to senior. That's a whole nother 4 years that you're going to have to endure. And you don't have a say. And secondly, you're going to be spending a lot of time away from your family, away from your friends, your girlfriend, your significant other. If you're stationed across the world or across the country even, you're not seeing them at all. So for me, when I got to my first station and I was alone by myself for the first time in my entire life at 18 years old, I was terrified. I remember crying the night that first night I was there. I cried because I was so scared of being alone by myself. But I'm happy I went through that looking back because it was a great experience. But at the time, I wasn't used to being by myself, being alone. And another con would be the strict rules and regulations. Obviously, you're in the military, so you do not control your life. You may have freedom to kind of do whatever you want outside of work, but you still belong to the government. And I remember I used to get in trouble for being late. I was always late a lot of the times, and I would get, written up. I remember I couldn't have my hair like a certain length or whatever. I think they kind of changed some stuff up now, but my hair was too long, and I remember I got in trouble, and they brought out a ruler, literally in front of like my whole work. They brought out a ruler, and it was too long, and they made me go get a haircut. So, um, I'm sure some things have changed. I don't really know, but there's definitely very strict rules for how you look, how you dress, how you're supposed to act in, public or outside of work. And it's just a lot. It's one of the things that I didn't like, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just very strict rules and regulations. And the last con that I can think of is you don't really have a say in where you're going to end up and what job you're going to get. Like, you're gambling with your military experience unless you're going in with that job that you wanted, which a lot of people don't do. I had a list of like 5 jobs that I wanted. I chose, all 5 of them. And at the end of boot camp, they gave me one. And I'm grateful that I got the job, aircrew flight equipment. But I could have been maintenance. I could have been, stuck with a job that I hated, like a plumber or something. And then on top of that, you can end up anywhere in the entire world. You know what I mean? So your experience is going to be different from mine. I think I've said that plenty of times, but you really will either absolutely love it, it could be okay, or you could absolutely hate your time in the military. It's a roll of the dice, and that's one of the biggest gambles that you take when you're joining the military. But you take those gambles because, in my opinion, there's so many other pros than cons. So let's move on. The first pro that I wanted to get into is life experience. At 18 years old, I decided I was going to sign that dotted line and I was going to say goodbye, mom and dad, brother, goodbye, family, friends. I'm going to go see wherever I end up. And that took a lot of courage from me at a young age. And oh my God, I am so grateful to younger me that I did that. I got to travel around the world. I went to Germany, I went to Qatar, I went to, Texas, Arizona, San Diego, places that I never thought I would be in. I lived in Las Vegas for like 3 years of my life. And I'm grateful that I was able to live on my own and experience life by myself on my own terms. And I was able to be responsible for myself, pay bills, learn how to manage my money, my budget. Which brings me to the other pro that I wanted to talk about is travel. You're able to travel a lot when you're in the military because you kind of just go places for work or for a deployment to somewhere or for a temporary like work trip. You end up in some random state, some random place that you never thought you would be. And then another pro would be the pay. The pay isn't amazing, I'm not gonna lie. Pay isn't amazing, okay? I'll pull up the pay. I'll pull up the pay right now for an enlisted person. I was an E4 by the time I separated the Air Force. And right now, I think E4s make 3,000 or something. And that's like, we get paid twice a month. So the 1st and the 15th of every month you get paid. And that 3,000 is split. So it's 1,500. But you make a lot more the longer that you're in, obviously. So like you can see that people that have just joined, like E1s and E2s, I made dirt. I made absolutely nothing when I was first joining those first couple of years. You make a lot more money when you get out of the dorms and like move out off of the base and kind of live on your own. Which I talk about in the other video, but the pay is nice, the pay is consistent, the pay is always on the 1st and 15th. It doesn't matter what happens, you're always going to get paid. And I like the consistency of that. And then the last pro, probably the most important, is the benefits, right? A lot of people, including me, join because of the amazing benefits that you get while you're in and after you separate from the military. Okay, I'm using the GI Bill right now to pay 100% for a program in college that cost me like $50,000. I didn't pay any of it. Okay? And they're paying me to go to school. They're giving me a monthly allowance just to go to school full time. There's so many like random veteran benefits, like we can get into national parks completely for free. We can get 10% off at random places and stuff. There's education benefits, there's certifications, there's like insurance benefits, there's the VA home loan that a lot of people take advantage of. I think you're able to like buy a home without putting a down payment on. And there's a ton of benefits from having served in the military. So hopefully I kind of gave you some insight on what joining the military was actually like and the experience that you might have, because it's going to be different for everybody. I know I wish I could tell you like you're gonna love it and it's gonna be amazing like I did, but it's a chance. It could be good, it could be bad. But I don't regret it at all because I was willing to sacrifice those 4 or 6 years of your life. If you sign a 6 year, personally, I don't think you should sign a 6 year contract. You should do it 4. I was willing to sacrifice those years, right? I knew that I needed to because when I was 18, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. And if I stayed in my city, I wouldn't have been doing anything good for myself anyway. So I wanted to set myself up for future me right now, to reap the rewards and the benefits of that. And I did just that. Let me know if you have any questions, anything you want answered about joining the military. I'll answer them below in the comments. And tell me what you think. So thanks for watching. Peace.